Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So in this one I want to talk about the thought process that led to me deciding to come to Japan and why I think that's really important for the overall vegan movement and also significant in my life. So for anyone who's been following what I've been doing or just the vegan movement in general, you'll realise that in the last 5 years there's been a massive explosion through social media and through the kind of Western vegan world where restaurants and places are starting to recognise the word veganism, and it's going beyond just vegetarianism. There's this massive plant-based health movement, and there's been a lot of businesses and people just taking it seriously. There's been an activism movement that's grown really amazingly, and people are starting to get good equipment and creative outlets to express the vegan message in different ways and different formats, and everything has got very exciting. So for me, I witnessed that over the last 5 years, since around 2015, where it was the time when I started YouTube, where I saw all of this passion for veganism come out, and I saw this massive vegan bubble explode in areas like London and Manchester, and that got me really excited. But then I actually had a realization that me being stuck in the England vegan bubble wasn't really the place I wanted to be in. So I started to reflect on other parts of the world that might not have that same exposure to veganism that the places like England do. And I realized that Japan is a really interesting place when you think about veganism, because originally Japan was a heavily Buddhist influenced country where people ate a very simple diet with lots of rice and lots of vegetables, and if anyone understands what精進料理 is.
精進料理というのは、五味五食五法を駆使し甘味を引き出すという、日本食の基本がございます。これは、五味、甘い辛い酸っぱいしょっぱいなどの、5つの味覚、五色、赤い黄色い白い青いなどのいろいろな彩り、あとは切る煮る焼く蒸すなどの、5つの調理法を駆使して素材の味を引き出すという日本食の、
and that is mostly vegan. But over the last 50 years since the Second World War, America has kind of invaded Japanese culture and introduced a lot of meat and animal products and dairy. And as a result of that now, Japan is a high meat consuming country. And if you actually look at some of the new cultural traditions that have come out recently, people go to KFC on Christmas, and places like McDonald's are on almost every major street, and people drink more dairy here than has ever been experienced, even though a lot of Japanese people are actually lactose intolerant, because dairy's never really been consumed in Asia until fairly recently. So I did a little bit of research, and I realized that the dairy industry and also the meat industry started to realize that there's this decline in dairy and meat consumption in the West, because obviously of the education and the information coming out around and what happens to the animals and the health impacts that has. And obviously with the plant-based milks and plant-based meats starting to hit the market really powerfully, these industries are realizing that they need to find a new market to continue the profit. So they've moved over to Asia, and especially places like China and Japan and Korea, and they're now marketing dairy to children through the nutrition guidelines and through all the advertising on television. And it's resulted in children and people now becoming more and more addicted to dairy, and this massive explosion. And as we're going to notice in the next 10 to 20 years, there's going to be this big explosion of all the Western diseases and illnesses that you experience when you watch things like What the Health. If anyone's seen What the Health, the documentary, a lot of these kind of diseases like heart disease and cancers haven't been as prevalent in areas like Asia, where people have had more plant-based diet and less processed food. And now we're going to start to experience this big growth of all of those diseases, which is quite scary. And for anyone who's been in Japan for a while, like the more older generation, they'll have witnessed this culture destruction where America and the West is now bombarding the Japanese people's bodies with all this poison, and also a lot of cognitive dissonance and cruelty. So I realized I wanted to be a part of sharing that, because people in Japan don't necessarily speak very good English enough to be able to understand the vegan information that's available to like people in England. So obviously there's a lot of documentaries, YouTubers, there's a lot of books and articles, but unless you speak very good English, it's hard to be able to access this information and actually put it into practice in your life and absorb it. So what I realized is I wanted to be a part of sharing this important life-saving, and obviously to the animals and to the people, this information. So I decided to learn Japanese and go on a journey to try and share veganism as much as possible with a nation that I didn't feel understood veganism. But when I actually arrived last year and started to kind of go to vegan events and meet people, I realized that I was actually kind of wrong about it. And there's actually this very beautiful vegan movement and vegan community that's been growing for a while, very, very humbly and very silently, starting to grow all these resources and all these people, and this vegan movement with the growth of vegan businesses and restaurants is a really exciting thing to be a part of. So I decided to move over here to document that development, because I feel it's very similar to the explosion of veganism that occurred in England in 2015, where we witness all these individuals who have been passionate about veganism for a while, or have just discovered it and have all these skills, all this creativity, where they start to share their passion and communicate that and create this powerful activism movement that crosses the boundaries of ignorance. And some of the events and things that I've been a part of have been really exciting, to realize that veganism is this unstoppable truth that crosses beyond language and beyond culture. And people are starting to listen. But despite all the progress that's happening right now, the animal industry is actually working harder than ever to maintain the lies and convince people that they need to eat meat to be healthy and strong and happy and be successful. And these lies are sinking very deep into the culture. So I think it's important for as many people as possible to combat this misinformation and try and balance out the truth, to inspire people and educate people so they can make informed choices. And I think in Japan, people aren't given that freedom to be able to make those informed choices. So I wanted to be a part of helping share that with people. So obviously, if anyone knows about Japan at all, there's a lot of cultural richness that attracts people and brings in a lot of tourism. And obviously next year will be the Tokyo Olympics, which is going to bring in a lot of tourism. And in Japan in general, people want to understand how the foreigners who are going to come to Japan to experience the Olympics, the way they think and the things that drive them. And as a result of that, there's more and more interest in Western things, such as veganism. So I think we can hijack that vague interest in order to promote the truth and promote compassion and help people, find their voice in veganism. So there's obviously a lot of obstacles I've come across while I've been here, like the high fish-consuming culture and also the social pressure, which creates a fearful environment that doesn't allow people to make their own decisions and stand out. But I think in spite of that, people can still be empowered to make those decisions and to become vegan. And from all the vegan people I've met in Japan who have found their voice there, I've been so inspired that I realized I wanted to tell this story of these people who are going against the culture and going against very strong, powerful advertising. It's not necessarily popular and it's not necessarily easy. So I decided to create a documentary, and I wanted to document what's happening over here and inspire people with that journey, and realize that wherever you are and whatever your obstacles are, we can find the truth and we can live that and inspire the world around us. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and I appreciate everyone watching the videos and sharing them around. I'm going to be trying to make videos as regularly as possible, and I'll see you again in the next one.